We recording? That's a good start. So this is the first fight review. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done or you haven't seen any of our channel before, please like, share and subscribe. So this is our first fight review. So this is a segment where we go back over my fights and look at exactly what it is. Look at my fights and I'll talk through it as we go. So the first one we're looking at is my most important fight to date. The biggest fight to date is my fight against Adam Proctor. It was for the welterweight title. As a lightweight, it was a big statement to make. He's a big guy, 6'3". He says 6'1" in his record, but he's definitely bigger than that. When we did the face-to-face in the cage, which you'll see momentarily, he was quite a bit bigger than me. I'm just below 5'10", just hitting 5'10". So for him to say he's 6'1" is quite a bit of a misdirection. I remember his entrance music was I Need a Monster by Eminem. I'll get that right eventually. And I remember turning to my coaches and saying, like, give it 10 minutes. He's going to need a doctor. That's just how relaxed we are on the walkouts. Do you know what I mean? It's all about enjoying it. And in the moment, it's just being ready to go. Like, I've done all that prep. Everything's ready. I've game planned non-stop. I've visualized. Everything's up to scratch. And it's just making a walk, getting in there, and getting the fight done. Walkouts are probably my favourite part of the fight. Obviously, apart from the fight itself. A lot of people struggle with their walkouts, but I do enjoy it. I like to make them dramatic. I like to make people wait. So it is something that I enjoy doing. It's just the part where you get into it, so you may as well just enjoy it on the way. So the shorts for these fights, I picked off the website. They were new releases, and I picked them. But I didn't realise until after the fight that it does make me look like I had a pair of shorts over the top of my shorts, and it just wasn't the best look in the world, really. So this is the most awkward part when you're fighting now, because you're in there and I literally just pace, but you have to wait. So you have to wait for him to do all the sort of the rap sheets of, like, so your age, your height, your record, all this part you're seeing now. You have to wait for the announcer to come in, and he obviously announces the records and introduces us all, and then obviously brings us to the centre. So it's quite a long time you're actually waiting in the cage for it all to happen. So Mark Goddard, obviously an OG in the game. He does most of the UFC events, most of the Bellator events. Like he's massive. I think he's one of the forerunners for safe MMA. So he's done loads and loads for the sport so far. He's definitely not 6'1". He definitely wasn't 6'1". You'll see now when we come in the middle. I remember, like, it didn't bother me at all because I was pumped up, ready to go. But I know a lot of people said afterwards, like, as soon as they seen the height difference, they did think I bit off a bit more than I could chew. But obviously at this point now, he's fully refilled, fully back up to weight, so he's probably walking around at about 88 kilos. Remember, I couldn't get over 80k, so I put on 3. So no matter how bloated I look in there, because I always look bloated, I hadn't really put much weight on. The amount of times I pace that cage, it's always the same. You're just constantly waiting for him to start, and like this part does your head in. Like, this is the worst part of the fight, because you're just waiting. I think this is the part my family get nervous at, because like when you're in there, there's never a difference. Obviously, you've seen that height difference now, so that's supposed to be 2 inches. Like, that's quite a bit bigger than 2 inches. So he's definitely about 6'3". I always wave away the touch of gloves, but I've been asked about it multiple times, but I don't like touching gloves before we fight, just because I've been caught cold a couple of times with people in different sports. So we touch gloves in the centre, and then afterwards I'm just going to punch you in the face. Don't try and touch gloves with me. So I always like to tell them, make sure they know. So the game plan for this fight was, if he come out orthodox, was to pick him up. If he come out southpaw, was the pressure around him, get around that front hand, hit him with that long hook, and then line the cross up, which is quite a lot of game plans for southpaws. Always make sure you're outstepping his front foot. To be fair, he come out and he kept trying to line this head kick up, and I just wanted to drop bombs. I had to make sure I stayed close to his chest. I had to make sure that he didn't keep me on the outside of that reach. So I'm always either in or I'm out of range. I said if he switches to southpaw as well, I'm going to break his ribs. That was the game plan. So when he stays southpaw, and it isn't long before he changes back, but while he is, I start blasting around. That left hook lands flush a couple of times. But I'm just constantly on the aggression, constantly pushing him back, constantly keeping him sort of unsteady on his feet, and keeping those distance quite well, which is what I like to, and I like fighting and controlling the distance at all times. So I'm catching him there with a screw shot and making sure that nothing he lands is too clean. And I do remember that when we clinched up, he was very, very strong, which is something we obviously expected. We expected him to be strong. just making sure that every time I'm connecting cleaner than his. Every time I'm pushing, I'm always pressuring through. Like here, he switched back to orthodox now. So he's doing quite well, putting a lot of pressure back, but it's just a waiting game, like, and constantly, like, this is the fight I wanted to have. For him to stay and strike with me, it was just confusing for me, because, like, it's quite 50-50 at the moment, but I'm just wearing him down. Like, I know every time I connected more, and there we go. I connected with the jab and sat him down. Pressured through quite slow, and then I just want to make sure I landed enough and made use of it. So I apply pressure, I try getting a hook in, didn't really get the hook, so I just pile on the pressure now. Keep my weight forwards and just keep striking, just try to keep him down. And again, he showed he's calm, he sort of worked his way back up, he tied me up, and we went back to a clinch exchange. So again, for me, this isn't where I wanted to be. He's the bigger guy, he's got the weight advantage. Clinched up like this, so I control the one hand, I tie it up, I go for a 2-on-1. Tie it over the top, and I know I can separate now. I'm pushing that into his stomach. And as soon as I'm ready, I can back up, and I'm back out of range. When I'm ready, there we go, back out of range. So by here now, I thought, look, you put a lot of pressure on him, pick him up, and just pick him up on the outside. And I remember he took me down. Straight away, I defended, worked my way straight back up, run towards the cage, which is something we planned about. So I run straight for the pillar, back towards my corner, head into the pillar, work my way back to my feet, and then straight away I start attacking his hands. So I peel away the hand, inside, use it to shell, and then bang my hips out at the back door. Back to snapping the hips, and I turn in. There we go. Now it's back to a 50-50 fight, and this is where I'm strong anyway. So I create distance, I exchange the way out, and then I'm back putting the pressure on him. So now I'm thinking, look, control the distance, just outscore him. And I remember his corner saying about me being tired, so I really start putting the pressure back on him, start throwing the body shots, and I just start pouring it on. That was a ridiculous attempt at a reverse side kick, poor. That was one of the biggest critiques I had after the fight, was there was no need to throw it. So I start pulling the pressure back on, and you start seeing me slip more. That left hook lands there again, so I know it's there. Like, it was something we planned for, so I knew it was always going to be there. So body shot again, like every time he goes southpaw. So it's just waiting for it. I know that hook is going to land, so it's just setting it up. So this is when I start putting the pressure on him now. Cross over the top, walking him down, hook over the top. It's just when them combos start flowing together. As soon as that combo lands, like, he sinks again. It's 1-2 left hook and he's down. Now I put the pressure on, and this time I knew there was no way he was getting back to his feet. Like, I'd already let him back up once. There was no chance he was getting back up again. So this time I made sure I wedged that hook in. I stayed on top, kept the pressure on top. And like, there's a minute left. I knew it was quite short, but I knew I had to cause damage. So the elbows went first, piled it through, and then I went back to the round looping shots. Just because, one, they look better, and two, as long as you keep piling that pressure on, I knew I'd open him up. So just keep the pressure there, and I knew the ref would step in eventually. So I felt him coming back to his feet, so I just kept pressure on, kept piling it on. I knew the ref was going to step in like he did, and then that was the end of that. Now, so at this point, first thing I did straight away was call for my belt off my coach. My coaches were turning around and saying they couldn't find the belt. He tried to wipe the blood off my mouth. Oh shit! And and I said to him straight away, "Don't worry about the blood, let it bleed." I didn't swear at him. I just said, "Let it bleed." He laughed about it afterwards. The tyrant thing was a sort of line about how being a king who doesn't get given anything is something you take. Welterweight title on short notice, and then I've taken that welterweight title just because I was the baddest person in it. That was the way I wanted to get seen, and that was what I built it to be. So yeah, to be fair, this is one of those fights where looking back on it, it's not as clean as I wanted to be. I took shots I didn't need to, but he was a big guy, and I walked through him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was on a 7-fight win streak. He was 12-1, and I dismantled him in 4 minutes. There's that hook again. So it was the jab, slip, cross, slip, and left hook, and then I pushed forwards. I didn't want to rush forwards because of the up kicks, so I wanted to make sure that I controlled his legs. Then I dragged him out, and then that was it. Then I started cracking him. I still remember as well, after the fight, we didn't speak before the fight. He never said one word. And after the fight, he still never said one word. Like I said, good fight, well done. He just nodded up at me. Like, I don't think I ever heard his fight in the whole fight week, his voice. The only time I heard his voice was on the video replay. So, so this part, I took my gloves off because I wanted to hang my gloves. So when you retire, you put your gloves in the center of the cage. So I wanted to make sure if I took my gloves off and put it around my neck, it would show that I'm not fighting in Cage Warriors again. Because that was the old mindset I had. Was after this, I'd done this, I was going to the UFC. So I tried it, and it just looked stupid. So I was like, no, you keep them, just give me the flag. That's such a good view. Looking back, I think like that was something I never expected to do. And it was something I never even planned for. It just sort of worked out the way it did. But winning the 2 belts, obviously, I set my legacy. Like I said it all the way through the fight. Like this was going to be a legacy fight for me, and it is definitely cemented my legacy. Like this is something that only 2 other people have done before me, and I'm always going to be remembered for the person who did it the way I did. Like I went in there and I annihilated everyone I needed to, and I finished both of them in the first round. Like not many people has done that. Right, so on the video, these are my corner crew. They've been in my corner all the way through. My coaches for I don't know how long. You've got Greg Creel, Lyndon James, and Craig Ewers. Lyndon's my boxing coach. Greg is my jiu-jitsu coach, and Craig is my wrestling and jiu-jitsu coach. So, like they've all helped and they've all been there since the start. So it was nice to finish my Cage Warriors career with them, and it'll be nice to go into UFC with them. Yeah, what I will say about this fight is that I took a lot of chances I didn't need to. Not just signing the fight, but in the fight itself, there was sort of decisions I made that was looking back, and they weren't the most clever, but they were decisions that I was able to make against someone of Adam's caliber. Like I knew Adam didn't make the cut. I knew that he was nowhere near good enough to beat me, and I knew I was levels above him. So I walked him down, and like I do make that mistake against people I think I can beat, where I get too sort of gun over them. I'm happy to trade, whereas in other fights, which we will look at eventually, and other fights that when we do this segment a bit more, that you'll see more of. I'm more clinical. I take less chances, and you'll see fights where I take even more sort of chances. I give them more options to land. So you'll hear me say this a lot, but these fights I've taken where I've really rated the guy and I've really been conscious of what they do. I've really been sort of worried about what they're going to throw. So I stay clean. I make sure that I'm in, I'm out, and they can't catch me. This wasn't that fight. Like this is one of the fights where I took liabilities because I knew I could. This is one of them fights where I walked him down because I knew I could, and it showed. So this has been the first episode of the fight analysis segment of Dragon Days. There's going to be more of these to come. We're going to keep different segments, and we're going to do different things sort of to keep this channel exciting. It's not just going to be day in the life of stuff. We're going to make sure that we do add different things. So like I said at the start, please like, please share, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.